Financial Focus, brought to you by the best of the best in financial services, as named by the readers of the Lake City Reporter 9 straight years and running. The team from GulfCoast Financial Services, founder and CEO John Kuykendall, here with us as always. And John, there are always a lot of options in the financial world, a lot of choices to be made with our money of which investment vehicle to use and utilize for the best purposes. And you have access to all of them. And often we talk about specific options and try to break them down, pros and cons, benefits and disadvantages, and where they are maybe appropriate or inappropriate. And today, want to talk about one type of vehicle specifically that is widely debated in the financial world, and that is the appropriateness, the utilization of annuities. A lot of mud in the water, it seems like, when it comes to annuities.
Yeah, a lot of people have misconceptions about annuities, Peter. You know, they are somewhat complicated, and we have to do a really good job of explaining them to our clients and our prospects and make sure that they understand totally what they're getting when we get them. But I can tell you this, I just met with a prospect a few minutes ago, and one of the things that I think annuities do the best job is longevity planning, because with longevity planning, I know that I can get a check from an annuity as long as I live. And so I think that's one of the most important aspects of an annuity, is giving us a private pension that we can't outlive to help supplement our Social Security and also help supplement our growth bucket so that we're not taking money out of the market when the market's down.
But John, isn't that in and of itself one of the concepts behind annuities that is kind of widely debated and weighs on both the pro and the con side? You mentioned that it protects against longevity, but in general, annuities are very long-term vehicles. So, I mean, as you said, you've got to make sure your clients know what they're getting into, but that is one of the considerations, right? Is the time that we are basically dedicating or deciding a direction of this piece of money for.
Well, that's right, Peter. And we don't want to put all of our money in that one basket. We want to make sure that we're diversified, because annuities are a long-term investment. They are going to give us that private pension, that predictable, sustainable income that's guaranteed by the insurance company. And that's what they're mainly used for. That, and also the new ones have a long-term care component, so that we can get double income or 1.5 times income for both spouses in the event that they need confinement or home health care. So I think annuities provide a purpose and provide a safety net for us to make sure that as we live longer, which we are, that we are going to be able to have that income coming in every month without having to worry about running out of money. But as you said, annuities are complicated. We need to understand them. Some annuities have more expenses than others. I mean, you need to understand totally what you're getting involved in before you do it. And I think that's the reason that we have so much controversy about annuities, is they aren't explained up front. They're just sold for the commissions, and that's the reason that the client doesn't understand them.
John, I know we are going to dive into some additional basic and specific issues about annuities, and we had this for a little later on, but since you mentioned it, that healthcare component, I mean, this is the elephant in the room for financial and retirement confidence, and one of the biggest hurdles that we have to face. I know that you mentioned that the newer annuities have a feature that can help protect or that provides more income, increases the income if we experience, unfortunately, that set of circumstances. But this is not necessarily comprehensive long-term care coverage, right? It's not going to cover everything that may be involved with the expenses of long-term care. Maybe qualified as a approach to this, and certainly better than having nothing at all. Where would you rate that in the spectrum of we've addressed that potential concern?
Well, I think, Peter, first of all, there is no place to get long-term care insurance anymore. None of the insurance companies offer it because actuarially they couldn't provide the risk numbers, and it was draining their reserves.
It was more
So,
expensive than they once
oh,
predicted.
much more, yeah, much more expensive, and we're living longer, so the chances of us using it are more and more. So what the annuity will do is it will give us additional income for a period of 5 years, and then it reverts back to the regular income for the rest of the term. And most of our confinement has been determined to be, 3, 4 years, in some cases longer, but it doesn't provide all of the money that we'll need for long-term care, but it certainly provides money additional monies that we can use for that so that we're really not totally draining our assets. Long-term care is a problem. And it's a problem in this country, and it's going to continue to be. But somehow we have to self-insure ourselves for it. And, as I said on this program before, several states have implemented taxes if you don't have long-term care.
Right.
So this will provide us that necessary means of avoiding that tax.
And several more states, John, have proposed that tax. I guess they're waiting to see how it goes for the states that have already implemented it before they move forward on it. But I suppose that in any other kind of financial vehicle and any account that you have, as long as there's a balance, you could pull money out faster if you have long-term care needs, right? But the concern, the risk is that if you pull money out faster, it runs out faster and then it's done, it's exhausted. There's no more income from that source. That's, I think, where the benefit from this additional protection and feature of the annuities comes in, is that yes, we're pulling money out faster. Yes, it does drain potentially the account balance, but you are continued to have that guaranteed lifetime income even thereafter.
Well, that's right. I mean, that income will revert back to what it was before we needed it after the 5 years, if you use the whole 5 year benefit. And then you will have that income for as long as you live. Whereas if I'm pulling money out for long-term care out of my asset bucket or my growth bucket, when that money's gone, it's gone. I
Mhm.
can't replenish it. This is something that I can't outlive. And I think it's certainly a way to help us during those times when we need that protection, without draining our assets and letting our growth bucket grow back.
Well, thank you for diving deep into that particular feature and topic. And I want to back up now to some of the more basic premises for annuities and features of annuities. John, weighing all the pros and cons and the myriad of different types of annuities that I think do cause some confusion, how do we as individuals weigh if an annuity is right for us?
Well, Peter, I think we've just got to look at what we're trying to do. In the past, because of the defined benefit plans that provided a check every month for as long as the retirees lived, that
Pensions.
generation, the pensions, that generation has certainly had a better lifestyle than the ones after that. And so what happens is the annuity fills that void by giving us that private pension. Now, what you need to understand is what type of annuity do you have? They're basically fixed annuities that provide a fixed interest rate for a set period of time, and then you're subject to renegotiating that at the then current rates. Or a fixed indexed annuity, we get to share part of the gains of the market, but we don't share all of the gains. But we also we don't share in any of the losses. So we're able to put a floor under our money and also be able to keep it at that, keep the gains that we've made up to that point.
John, we all as individuals kind of have a spectrum that we fall across in our risk tolerance, right? Some people don't like a lot of risk and volatility and the potential for losses. Some people are rather comfortable with that. So conservative all the way to aggressive, moderate in the middle there. Annuities to me seem to fall on that more conservative end of the spectrum for the reliability of the income that you've described that they can produce for you and that protection that you just detailed against losses in down markets.
Well, that's right, Peter, but they are a conservative investment because they are providing us with that floor. We get some of the gains, but we don't get any of the losses. That's very important. A lot of people like that, especially in retirement, because we're taking our money that we've saved and we're using it to provide an income for us and provide the assets that we need to live during retirement. We don't have a way to build up anymore. People don't like losing 30, 40% of their portfolio when they're actually drawing money out to live on.
And John, there are different types of annuities, and even within the different types, there are different features and products and bells and whistles and chassis, and that's what I think leads to some of the confusion. Can you, at least on a high level, break down the different types and maybe which type is appropriate for someone looking for certain kinds of goals for their money?
Sure. We have basically three types, Peter. The first type is a fixed annuity. And with that, we're getting a fixed interest rate that the insurance company tells us up front that this is the interest rate that you're going to be paid for a set determined time, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever. That is good for short-term money, money that we're going to need later that we don't want. We're not trying to build income or anything else, but it will provide a good return, protect our money while we're waiting to grow it or to use it. So I think that's a great instrument in that case. Then we have the fixed indexed annuities, which is the one we talked about earlier, where I'm going to get a lifetime income. I can add riders such as that long-term care rider, and I get a percentage of the market, but none of the downside. So those are low cost, but the indexes are complex, and you need to understand what indexes you're going to be involved in and whether the caps and all the other stuff that goes with it, it gets complicated. And your financial advisor should help you with that on every anniversary because we can make those changes. And then we have variable annuities, which are totally based on the market. My gains are in mutual funds that are within the chassis of the annuity. And as the mutual funds go up or go down, I make money or lose money. So I can lose my principal, but I always have a money that I can use for income or something else. And variable annuities usually have a higher expense rate than the other two annuities we talked about, which are very low cost.
Now, John, I want to get into two more important topics. Number one is that right now, due to the high and very attractive interest rate environment, at least in recent historical perspective, over the last 20 years, we're seeing some of the highest interest rates that we have seen. It makes it a good time to look at annuities for the internal growth factors that they're offering and for the income payout rates that they are offering. And even if maybe we are already in an annuity, had deposited money and purchased one years back, it may be a good time to even look at how to utilize these now available rates and update that annuity product and the features and the payouts, correct?
Well, that's right, Peter. I mean, the payouts are higher because we're in a higher interest rate. So we may be able to get more income out of the annuity by making it by changing it into one of the newer chassis. Plus, annuities have also evolved over the last 5 or 6 years. Annuities have evolved a tremendous amount. Fixed indexed annuities have made changes. They're much better chassis now than they were before. And, if you've got short-term money sitting in the bank, you may want to bring that money over and put it into a short-term fixed annuity where I don't have to pay interest. I don't have to pay taxes on my gain until I actually pull it out at the end of the term. So if I'm in a higher tax bracket, I can defer that gain until I have removed the annuity.
John, you mentioned short-term money sitting in a bank. I think that there are a lot of people out there that are apprehensive about the market, and we've sort of gotten into a saver's mentality where we are waiting for the right time to deploy money. We know that we're not earning a whole lot in the bank, and yet we're so apprehensive about exposing it to any risk in the market that we end up not doing anything. And therefore, years might go by where we're not getting as much out of our money as we might otherwise could. Are those short-term interest-bearing annuities kind of the middle ground there? Is that kind of a stepping stone solution where we can get a little bit better growth?
Well, certainly I'm going to get a better return than I can in a CD with the bank. I'm going to be able to defer my interest gains and not pay taxes on those and have them count in my income. And certainly it's a way that right now, because interests are higher, that I can get a better return on my money. And I should certainly try to do everything I can to get a higher return. And at 6%, my money's going to double every 12 years. So if I'm not using it and it's sitting in the bank, why not use it, or sitting aside idle? Why not put it into something that's going to give me a return that I can possibly use later on in my retirement, because, I'm going to live longer, Peter.
All right. And then the second part of the other question I wanted to ask is, John, I'm hearing a lot about annuities that are offering like an incentive, some kind of upfront bonus on a deposit that we may put into them. Number one, like, how can these companies do that? And then number two, in something that is intended for long term or even maybe a lifetime, is what happens on day one truly the most important thing anyway?
Well, depending upon how much the bonus is, and some of the companies are offering fairly large bonuses, it's a way that I'm going to have a larger amount of money I'm going to be able to earn interest on. So in other words, if I have $20,000 added to my balance and the index makes money, then certainly, Peter, I'm going to make more interest and make a higher balance. And then when I get ready to pull my money out, I'm going to have a higher income because I'm looking at my income based on a higher amount. So it's something we should look at. It's not something that I want to say that just because we're getting a high balance, that's the annuity to go into. Everybody needs to make sure they understand which annuity they're doing and make sure it's what you need based upon a review of your needs. Everybody's different.
So, John, just to sort of paraphrase and not putting words in your mouth, but it sounds like it's not getting into it. It's what you can expect to get out of it that should be the determining factor here.
Well, yeah, I want to make sure that I'm going to get the highest income I can get. Some annuities pay a higher factor than other annuities, so you're going to make more money than you would with a different one. So we want to look at the total annuity, what I'm trying to do, what I want that annuity to do, look at the components within it, look at the caps, find out how I'm going to make my interest, and then go forward. Look at the cost. Everyone, it doesn't get the same annuity. All annuities are different. We need to review them based upon your specific needs.
All right. Well, we've been talking with John Kuykendall, founder, CEO of GulfCoast Financial Services. We've been breaking down a surface level conversation on annuities, some of the specific features and benefits and disadvantages of annuities, and how they have been updated here into recent history, how they have innovated the annuity products. So maybe worth looking at and considering, ladies and gentlemen. You've got to consider your individual unique set of circumstances and, of course, your goals with your money. But if you'd like to have a conversation about this or any tool that's out there, and maybe more importantly, bring all of the pieces of the picture together and form the cohesive, comprehensive, financially focused written retirement income plan, pick up the phone and give Gulf Coast Financial Services a call, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. You can also visit online, gulfcoastfinancial.net, gulfcoastfinancial.net. Now, John, that was kind of a heavy conversation. Now for something completely different. You've been traveling with your wife. You hopped in the camper van. You took a little tour of the country. What was the highlight of your recent trip?
Well, Peter, I got to tell you, I've got into snow in Wyoming. And so for a Florida boy, it was really different to see the snow on the front of the van and coming down as I was going over to the bathhouse in my shorts and short sleeve shirt. So
I was going to say, John, I heard that all you packed was shorts and short sleeved
well,
shirts.
it's spring in Florida. You would think it would be spring everywhere, Peter. I don't understand it. But I'm glad to be back. When I got across the Florida line, I knew I was home. And, the wind in Nebraska and all the different stuff that we ran into. But it was a great trip. We had a good time, took our dogs with us. They enjoyed it. We just had a great time together.
And it is a beautiful country, isn't it?
I'm amazed at the vast amount of just undeveloped space and the amount of farmland we have. This country is so big, it's unbelievable.
Well, we always appreciate the time, John. Thanks for the little inside perspective on your recent travels and adventures. But ladies and gentlemen, if you want to have travels and adventures of your own, you need to have a plan for lasting financial confidence. And that's what they help with there at GulfCoast Financial Services. If you'd like to get that financially focused written retirement income plan, pick up the phone, give a call, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. Get the plan in your hands for financial confidence in 2024 and all the years beyond. Get in touch with John Kuykendall and the team from GulfCoast Financial Services. 386-755-9018. John, always appreciate the time and the information that you share here.
Thank you, Peter. It was great to be here. Y'all have a great week. Hey, if you'd like a copy of our new book, Quitting is for Winners, but Retirement's Not for Wimps, I encourage you to click the link below and get your copy today. Hey, we like it when you listen to the show, but we like it better when you like, share, subscribe, or feel free to leave a comment.
Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and tune in for more financial focus by visiting GulfCoastFinancial.net. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes. John Kuykendall is registered with and securities are offered through Kovac Securities Inc., member FINRA SIPC, found online at www.kovacsecurities.com. Advisory services are offered through GulfCoast Financial Services Inc., a registered investment advisor in Florida. GulfCoast Financial Services Inc. is not affiliated with Kovac Securities Inc. or Kovac Advisors Inc. Past performance is not indicative of future results. All investing involves risk. Investment decisions should be based on your own goals, time horizon, and tolerance for risk. Due to various factors including changing market conditions and/or applicable laws, the content may no longer be reflective of current opinions or positions.